Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. Is it worth a buy? Let's read the words of the developer. Set in a huge open world, Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen presents a rewarding action combat experience. Players embark on an epic adventure in a rich living world with 3 AI companions known as pawns. These partners fight independently, demonstrating prowess and ability that they have developed based on traits learned from each player. PC users can share these pawns online and reap rewards of treasure, tips and strategy hints for taking down the terrifying enemies. Pawns can also be borrowed when specific skills are needed to complete various challenging quests. So what is Dragon's Dogma? Well, it's a fantasy RPG, and it is set in a big open world. And you choose between one of 3 characters. You can either have like a casting sorcery mage, you can have a archery dagger wielding rogue kind of guy, or you can have a sword and shield or 2-handed sword guy. They're the only 3 they call vocations in this game. Now this game looks like the kind of vomit you find on the pavement on a Saturday morning from somebody who spewed up half a kebab on the Friday night because he shouldn't be drinking man's beer. Yes, it looks garbage. Yes, it looks awful, guys. It really does. Some of the cutscenes, well, they're not kind of cutscenes, it's just when you interact with people you sometimes get. I guess the kind of cutscenes are just some of the worst I've ever seen. The game looks like it was made 10 years ago. It looks like first gen console stuff. It's really awful to look at. Unless it's dark. When it's dark it looks nice because you can't see all the shit graphics. So it's not so bad at night time. And nighttime it's actually very atmospheric. It really is. It's just during the day when you see everybody for what they are, it's kinda, shit looking. Now that doesn't mean squat. It does to some people, because there are people out there who are so fucking narrow-minded that will stop them enjoying the game. For me, it just doesn't. I used to play Lords of fucking Midnight, Doom Dark's Revenge on the Commodore 64. All they had was a picture. There was no moving graphics. I played Twin Kingdom Valley, which was a text adventure, but in my head there was this beautiful world that my imagination was using. So I don't need fancy graphics. I mean, look at The Division. Has really nice looking graphics, but it's a big pile of wank, as are many other games. Look at Dark Souls. No, Dark Souls looks wank as well, doesn't it? So yeah. So what do you do in this? Well, I don't know that much because I've only played the tutorial. I can't resist, guys. I'm sorry. I just can't resist. I've played the game long enough to know whether it's worth a buy, as I do with all my reviews. Some people can't get that concept through the head, like a lot of the Dark Souls fans. They don't seem to realise that once you've played the game and you've felt the mechanics, you can tell whether you're going to like the game or not. Now, with the mechanics of this game, it's a third-person game, and you use a sword. So there's 2 things that don't go together in Mac's world: swords with third person. But I have to remind myself that I absolutely loved Mountain Blade, and that's a third-person swordy game, and I've played that for, I can't even count how many hours I've played that for. Fabulous game. Can't wait for Bannerlords this year. Anyway, let's get on with this. So how does it play? Well, the combat works like this. I've played the sword and shield guy for the longest, and the combat is very basic in the form of left mouse is light attack, right mouse is heavy attack, but you get these special attacks that you can spec into that require an extra key press. So you press a key and that will show on the menu that if you now press the left attack you will do this special attack, and you press another key, if you now press your right attack you will do a different special attack, which is really nice for the combat. You've also got a block as well that you can use, which will block the enemy from hitting you with stuff. So the combat is pretty basic, but it's very functional, and with a mouse and keyboard it works a treat. You can rebind nearly all of your keys, and for a mouse and keyboard the control you get is fine. Controlling the guy is great. I can't really fault the turning with the mouse and everything. I feel like I'm in full control. Where there's a big f*** up with the controls is I can't rebind the block key, which is set to Alt. It's not listed in the controls. I don't know why, but it's a fucking pain in the arse for me, because Alt is the key that I don't use a lot of, and getting used to hitting that is very difficult for me. So fuck off, game developers. Also, while I'm telling the developers to fuck off, can we talk about the UI? Honestly, what a load of shit. It's clunky, it's console made. It's console made. Just navigating around the UI is a fucking pain in the arse. You press escape, which should take you back to the game, and it doesn't. Escape doesn't. I've finished doing what I want to do on the interface. I've changed a couple of settings. Press escape to go back to game. No. You then have to press enter to confirm it. Fuck off. Exiting the game's like a mini game all on its own. Exit. Okay, I want to exit the game. Okay, exit to menu. Okay, now what? Why can't I go? Click any button to continue. Oh, so I have to go back into the fucking game again to exit. And then you get to another menu which says, oh, so you want to quit the game? Yeah, I do. Fuck off. Why can't I just press escape, have quit game at the bottom of the first menu? For fuck's sake. Other than that, guys, I really like this game. I won't tell you the plot, guys, because that would just spoil it. What's that? I don't know the plot, mate. No. I haven't played past the tutorial. I haven't a fucking clue. I know there's a dragon. Like all good RPGs, you can level up your character's stats. You get skill points that you put in as you're leveling up, so you can increase his attack ability, the amount of stuff he can carry, his hit points, all the usual stuff that you would expect in any RPG. You also get different abilities as you go up. You also get different weapons. You get different armor. There are inns where you can sleep at. There are inns where you can trade at. You can craft in this game in the sense of creating different concoctions by mixing things together to get a new, like generally two ingredients will make one product, like healing potions and all that kind of jazz. So there's plenty of that in this game. Gear is important. It is very important that you have good gear. Now that's kind of a given in any fantasy RPG. I would expect that as a minimum. That's kind of like, you know, when I'm playing a racing game, I expect a fucking car. So I'm not kind of going to give it any brownie points for that, because let's be honest, an RPG without that isn't an RPG, is it? What I think is the best thing about this game is the pawn system. I didn't say porn. I mean, it should have porn, obviously. There should be lots of porn in games. It should be full of fucking lesbians, especially dressed in these maids' outfits from this period. Everybody this period had big fucking breasts. I mean, I don't know what they were eating back then, but fucking hell. That's why they have them dresses with the elastic around the top, so the breasts can fucking... Now, the pawn system is your AI companions. And I absolutely love this about the game. You are given one that you build yourself. You can create that yourself. You can choose what it's going to be, whether it's going to be a healer, an aggressive attacker, a bow and arrow, or whatever. And I made Old Meg, obviously, and she is a healer. And I get to do everything with Old Meg, which I do anyway in real life. But in the game, I get to dress her, which again I do in real life as well, one thing. But in the game, you get to sort out her gear. You sort out where she puts everything. You build her. She's like another you, if you like. You know, she will also do shit for you, like in real life. She will collect things that she sees, treasure. She'll say, oh, I'm going to just loot this treasure and take it. And you can take it off her any time and say, hey, Meg, face bitch, cowslet whore, give me that. Give me that now. And she will just say, yes, master, yes, master. And she just gives you it, and it's great. And then, you know, you can put better gear on her, and they're not like in a lot of games where your AI companions are shit. Remember Call of Duty? It's like Call of Duty. You'll run into a firefight, and you've got 4 other guys with you who can't hit for shit, and even when they do hit, they're firing blanks because their damage does nothing. You have to do everything yourself. Well, not in this. Not in this. My fucking pawns are rollicking in this. They kick ass. They're bastards. So essentially what I've done is with my archer, I've made a mage who can heal me and also fight, and I'll set what abilities they have so I can kind of tailor them to fit into how I play the game, which is a masterstroke. It's a brilliant fucking idea by the developers, has to be said. But you can also get 2 others by going into the Rift and hiring them. You can't set out their skills and tell them what they're wearing, but you can actually go and hire them, and so for that I've hired a couple of big muscly fucking sword wielding tanks. So my little group of fellows is me as an archer dagger, I've got a healer, and I've got 2 fucking tanks who will take the brunt of the enemy while I fire me arrows at them. So I'm very early with this setup. My other setup was I was the sword and shield heavy guy. I had a mage healer called Old Meg, obviously, and I also had 2 other guys. One was an archer, and I think the other one was a healer as well. I can't remember, but that worked well as well. I was annihilating the mobs with that and having great fun with it, and that's one of the reasons I've stopped playing it, because I'm having so much fun. I want to start again, which I just have with my archer, but I want to play it at my pace and I don't want to rush through it for the sake of doing a video. It's one of them games where I like it so much that I kind of think, right, I'm no longer going to rush through this to get the video out. I know enough about how the game is. I've done boss fights, I've seen the quest system, I've seen the way the world is, I've seen the way the progression system is, I've done shitloads of combat in it, so I know how the combat feels, pretty much like I did with Dark Souls. You know, I had a taste of everything, so you kind of get the idea of whether you're going to like it or not. And I know what's coming. I've had a little sneak peek ahead to see what's lying in wait for me, and it all looks fucking good, to be honest with you. You can even get on griffins and fight in the air and stuff. But what I like about the bosses, you can climb up them. You can actually climb onto the fuckers and climb up their heads and start hammering them in the head with your fucking daggers. I mean, it's all good. Where it falls flat, there are a few stupid things, like a cutscene will pop in during a battle where maybe one of your pawns grabs an enemy and says, "I'm holding him, finish him," and you're in the middle of a fight, but the camera comes off you and goes to this guy, and I'm like, what the fuck, mate? I'm in the middle of a fight, kill him yourself, that's what I hired you for, you prick, you know? Or when I'm in a boss fight, like I was in this boss fight, we're playing fighting this serpent, and we were having real trouble with him until this other NPC decided to throw this barrel of explosives at the serpent, who ate it, and they wanted to tell me to shoot this barrel of explosives as it was going down its gullet, and at the time I was actually climbing on it, and so this cutscene happened, and when I came back I was no longer climbing on it. It was kind of like that never happened. So I don't like the way it does all that, but apart from that I love the way the pawn system works. They're just great. It's like Lord of the Rings. You're walking around with this group of yours, and you can swap them out for better ones as you go through the game. You can get these crystals, these rift crystals, that allow you to hire higher level ones. And the really good thing about it is you can hire other people's. So like I made Old Meg, I put her back into the rift. Other players can come in and hire Old Meg, and Old Meg will play in their game, and she will know what she knows from my game. So if I've done the first 6 quests and then somebody new comes and hires Old Meg will know the first 5 or 6 quests, and as you walk along, say, "Oh yeah, I know this bit, mate, if you come round here," you know, which is fucking great, really, really nice. What you have to watch out though is your pawns are a bit fucking, they're like football hooligans, you know. I took them into this house and they ransacked the place, started smashing everything up and looting everything. "Oh, this looks good, I'll take that fucker. Oh, look at this, I'll have some of this." And that was a bit shit. I mean, I don't like that in a game. I hate in a game where you could walk into somebody's house and start fucking stealing stuff and they'll just stand there. Yeah, that's fine. Witcher 3 did it. And it's ridiculous. If you walk into someone's house, you shouldn't be able to take stuff out of it without consequence if they see it. There's also dungeons in this. There's a one I went to across the sea. It's like something isle, black something isle, and I went in there at level 13 or something and got my arse handed to me, because you need to be really higher level to go in there or have better gear to go into that. But you can go in there and go through the dungeon. There's lots of things to do in their boss fights and stuff and get good gear. The game has a lot of depth in the sense that there's not just the combat, there's the whole pawn system. You've also got control over them. You can tell them to move ahead, you can tell them to come back to you, and you can tell them to help you. So you have actually commands that you can issue to them, which is it's a masterstroke. It makes the fucking game, guys. It really does. It's awesome to play. It's so much fun to play. The missions is pretty much the usual kind of missions you can expect. Fetch quest, escort quests, go kill them quests. There's caves to go into. Out at night is a lot harder. There's too many wolves though. I got it kind of pissed off. Every 10 yards there was a pack of fucking wolves. That needs fixing. If they're still fixing stuff in this game, that is. But the whole atmosphere of night I love. I really love the day-night cycles in this game. It gives that sense of atmosphere. When you go out, you can fasten a lantern around your waist, which casts nice shadows and makes it look all kind of spooky. There was no fast travel system, but I know you can find something in the game that allows certain amount of fast travel, which I don't really like in this kind of game. I like to walk around or ride around. I haven't come across any mounts. I don't know if there is any mounts yet. I'll find that out as I go along. But you know, what you have to understand, my reviews are not in depth. My reviews are based on, they're not really reviews, the more of do I think the game is worth buying. And I have to say that I think for £22, and this is going to be in sales as well, this is well worth buying for a fantasy RPG. It's got a big open world, it's got plenty of things to do. There's crafting as well. I mean, the crafting revolves around collecting herbs and stuff like that and combining them together to make different things like healing potions, strength potions, all that kind of stuff. You also have, like I said earlier on, a lot of gear to interchange and swap around. So if you're looking for a pretty good, deepish fantasy RPG, then look no further than Dragon's Dogma, because it is a fun game. It's not a full price game. It looks stupid at times. I mean, some of the cutscenes, the graphics are just laughable. You just burst out laughing. It has a boob slider, which is great news for people like me who like big-breasted women in games. So it has all of that, and it's worth a look at, and the pawn system is cool. It is cool. You'll think you're in Lord of the Rings when you start playing it, once you start going around. And you can't switch their voices off, which are fucking annoying after 10 minutes when they say the same old, same old. But there you go, that's Dragon's Dogma. I like it, and I'm going to play it in my spare time and see where it leads me. So Dragon's Dogma is definitely worth a buy.